Abena, remember that girl from Abuabo who used to wear sackcloth all the time? Now she has married my son.
Abena said that on an April morning, standing right in the courtyard of her son's house, in front of a neighbor's child playing near the gate, in front of anyone who had ears and could hear, Nana stood in the corner of the yard, holding a bundle of vegetables she had just picked from the garden behind the house. She was wearing an old green cotton dress that had faded after many seasons of washing. She heard it. The neighbor heard it. The child heard it too, even though the child did not understand why adults spoke to one another that way. Nana said nothing. She still held the vegetables in her hands. Her eyes remained fixed ahead. But inside her chest, something tightened and then loosened again, the way someone takes a very deep breath and decides not to let it out right away. She was used to it. Not used to it in the sense that it no longer hurt, but used to it in the sense that she knew the pain would pass, and she would still be standing here when it did. Her name was Nana Ama Boateng. She was born in Abuabo village, 30 kilometers west of Kumasi, where every family grew cassava and kept a few chickens. Her father was a carpenter. Her mother sold vegetables at the weekly market. They were not rich, but they owed nobody anything, and every evening their home had light, food, and laughter. She grew up knowing that being poor was not something to be ashamed of. Poverty was only a starting point, not a destination. But when she married Kwame and came into Abena's house, she learned that not everyone thought that way. Kwame was Abena's only son. He worked as an accountant for a small timber company in Kumasi. His income was enough to live on. Not wealthy, but not struggling either. He met Nana at a friend's wedding. They were standing beside the food table when he complimented her cooking. They talked until the party ended. A year later, they got married. Abena did not attend the wedding. She sent word through Kwame's cousin that her back hurt too much to travel. Kwame said nothing. Nana understood. 3 months after the wedding, Nana and Kwame moved in with Abena at her request. She said she had lived alone for too long and needed company. Nana agreed without asking questions. She thought, "This is my husband's mother. This is the woman who gave birth to and raised the man I love. I will do my best." And she did. In many ways. She woke up earlier than Abena every morning to sweep the yard and boil water. She learned how to cook bean soup exactly the way Abena liked it, even though the first time she made it, Abena tasted it and said it was bland. She stopped wearing brightly colored clothes because Abena once said that a married woman should not dress as if she were going to a festival. She kept her hair neat, her voice soft, her footsteps quiet, but no matter how much she shrank herself, she never fit the mold. Because the mold was never made for her to fit into. It was made to keep her out. During her first week in Abena's house, Nana learned that every effort she made would be interpreted only one way. That day, she cooked bean soup exactly according to Abena's instructions. Less salt, more onions, cooked longer. She carried the bowl over with both hands. The way her mother had taught her was respectful. Abena tasted a spoonful. She was silent for a moment. Then she said, without looking at Nana, staring instead at the soup, "It's blander than yesterday. Yesterday was at least a little better. Ma'am."
Just because I said it was a little salty doesn't mean you should stop seasoning the entire pot.
Nana stood still, not because she had nothing to say, but because she understood that any answer would be wrong. By the second month, Abena no longer talked about the bean soup. She moved on to other things. She complained about the way Nana hung clothes to dry, saying it was against the direction of the wind. She complained about the way Nana left her sandals by the door. She complained about the way Nana greeted the neighbors. Every day there was a new subject. But beneath every complaint was the same message, repeated in different forms. "You do not belong here." Nana learned to sort those remarks into categories. Category 1. Complaints that required no answer. Category 2. Comments made to see whether Nana would react. Category 3. Comments made in front of other people to make sure someone else heard them. Category 3 was the most exhausting, because she had to remain calm not only in front of Abena, but also in front of everyone watching to see what she would do. She did nothing. Not because she had no options, but because she had considered all of them and realized that none would take her where she wanted to go. In the second month, she brought home a small bouquet of flowers from the market. Yellow roadside flowers people often placed in clay vases. She set them on the dining table. Abena looked at them and asked, "Did you buy those?" "Yes, ma'am. I thought they were beautiful. So I bought them to brighten the house a little." "Where did the money come from to buy flowers?" The house still needs many things, yet you're spending money on flowers. What a wasteful person. The flowers remained on the table for the rest of the afternoon. That night, Nana threw them away before Abena could see them again. In the 3rd month, Abena became ill. Nana cooked plain porridge, sliced ginger into thin strips, and mixed honey into it the way her own mother always did when someone was sick. She carried the tray into the room, set it beside the bed, and pulled up a chair to ask whether Abena needed anything else. Abena looked at her from the bed. Her voice was tired, but still sharp. "Why are you sitting there? I need rest, not someone staring at me. I just wanted to ask if you needed anything else, ma'am. I need peace and quiet. That's something you haven't given me since the day you came here." Nana stood up. She walked outside and gently closed the door behind her. She stood in the hallway for a moment, looking down at her hands. Then she went into the kitchen and washed the porridge pot that still had some porridge stuck to the bottom. The women in the village often said that to survive in your husband's house, a wife must learn to become like water, taking the shape of whatever container holds her. Nana tried. She shrank herself, held her breath, filed down her own edges to fit the mold Abena had already created. But Abena never saw any of that. Or perhaps she saw it and simply chose not to acknowledge it. What she saw was Nana's old cotton dress, the plastic sandals she wore every day. The hair she could not afford to style into fashionable curls like the women in neighboring houses. And she spoke about those things not once, but every day, in different ways. Sometimes directly to Nana's face, sometimes indirectly through stories told to neighbors, making sure Nana could hear. Other people's daughters wear beautiful kente cloth. My daughter-in-law looks more like a servant. When Kwame was young, I dreamed he would marry Mr. Mensah's daughter. That family has money and status. Not like what happened instead. People from Aboabo village don't know the first thing about how respectable people are supposed to live. Kwame heard those remarks. Sometimes he would tell his mother, "That's enough, please don't say things like that." But the way he said it sounded like someone reading a sentence from a textbook, correct words but no life behind them. Then he would turn back to whatever he was doing, and everything would continue as before. Sometimes Kwame would look at his wife sitting in the corner of the kitchen, writing numbers in a notebook, and feel that something was wrong inside his chest. But he did not know what to call that feeling. One evening, he stood in the kitchen doorway and looked in. Nana was sitting with her head lowered over a notebook writing. The oil lamp cast a warm yellow glow across her face. He stood there without entering, without calling her name. He simply watched for a while, then turned away. He knew what his mother was saying. He heard it. It was not that he didn't hear. He just did not know what to do with the things he heard, did not know where to stand in the space between his wife and his mother. So he remained silent. And silence, he would later realize, is also a kind of choice. Nana never cried in front of Abena, not once. Not because she wasn't hurting, but because she knew her tears would not soften Abena's heart. They would only satisfy her. Instead, every night after Kwame fell asleep, Nana sat in the corner of the kitchen with a small oil lamp and wrote. Not a diary, not poetry. She wrote numbers, income, expenses, things that could be saved, skills she knew she could do better than what she was currently being paid for. She wrote plans. There was one thing Abena never asked, and Nana never volunteered to say, those old dresses were not because Nana could not afford new ones. She could. By the 2nd year, when the money from catering jobs started becoming more regular, she could have gone to the market and bought herself several beautiful outfits. But she chose not to. Not because she wanted Abena to have another reason to laugh at her, but because she had decided that every extra coin would go into the tin box, not into her wardrobe. She wore old clothes because she was choosing the future over appearances. That was something Abena, with all her striped dresses and sparkling blue glass beads, had never understood. Nana's parents in Abobo village had taught her that there was no faster way out of poverty than knowing what you were good at and doing it better than anyone else. Her father taught with very few words. He was a carpenter who worked from dawn until there was no longer enough light to see. And the thing he communicated most was not through words, but through the way he placed his hand on a piece of wood before planing it, slowly, attentively, like someone listening to what the wood itself wanted to become. Nana grew up with that lesson without realizing she was learning it. Everything has its best self hidden inside it. Your job is to discover it, not force it into what you want it to be. Her mother taught through example. She sold vegetables at the weekly market and never sold wilted vegetables, not because she couldn't. There were plenty of people at that market who sold wilted vegetables and still found buyers. But she always said,
"You don't need to sell everything. You only need to sell what you are proud to sell."
When Nana was 15 years old, a woman in the village named Akosua held a celebration because her daughter was leaving to study far from home. She hired a cook, but the cook fell ill the day before the event. Nana's mother suggested letting Nana cook instead. Akosua looked at Nana, looked at her mother, and shook her head. That little girl, what can she possibly cook? Nana's mother did not argue. She simply replied, "Let her cook one dish. If you don't like it, I'll refund your money. You lose nothing." Akosua agreed in the way people agree when they don't believe but have no better option. Nana cooked. At the party, every last bit of food was eaten. Afterward, Akosua did not thank Nana's mother with words. She sent over a sack of rice. In that village, that was how people gave a real thank you. Nana was good at cooking. Not just the kind of cooking people found acceptable, the kind that people remembered. In her second year in Abina's house, Nana began taking catering jobs. At first only for neighbors and people she knew around the village. The money wasn't much, but it was enough for her to open a small tin box and start saving. Abena knew, and she laughed. "So you're planning to become a soup seller now? Other people's daughters-in-law work in offices. You carry pots around and serve everybody else." Nana looked at her, gave a faint smile, and went back to slicing meat. She said nothing, but in her mind, the number inside the tin box had increased once again. By the end of the third year, Nana had saved enough money to rent a small corner at the Kumasi market. Not a shop, just a table and a roof overhead. On the first morning she set up her stall, she arrived before the market opened. The sky was still gray. Other vendors were still arranging their goods. Hand carts rattled across the dirt ground. She put down the table, spread out a clean cloth, set out the pots, set out the bowls, then stepped back and looked. It was small, not impressive, no sign. Nothing that distinguished it from dozens of other stalls nearby. But it was hers, paid for with her savings, not given to her, not assigned to her. The result of evenings spent beside an oil lamp with a notebook. The result of dresses she never bought. The result of early mornings spent not trying to please someone else, but moving toward the future she had chosen. She stood there alone in the gray light of dawn, and felt something like a full breath. Not happiness in the loud sense, but the quiet feeling of someone who knows she is standing exactly where she belongs. Then she lit the fire and began to cook. She sold lunch to market shoppers and workers from nearby businesses. There was nothing special about the ingredients she used, but the way she seasoned her food, the way she balanced colors on a plate, the way she placed a banana leaf underneath, the way expensive restaurants did. All of it made people come back. Then people began recommending her to others. Then the lines grew longer. That was when Nanada began to understand something. Some people will never acknowledge your worth, no matter what you do. And trying to earn their approval only steals the energy you could use to move forward. She stopped trying to make Abena happy. She started trying for herself. The difference seemed small, but it changed everything. In the fourth year, a regular customer at the market, an elderly man who dressed simply but always paid with large bills, began asking Nana more questions. He first came on a Tuesday afternoon when the stall was at its busiest. He stood in line like everyone else. No pushing, no shouting. Nana noticed him not because he looked unusual, but because he stood very still. Most people waiting in line looked around, checked the time, or stared at their phones. He simply stood there facing forward, like someone who understood how to wait and did not consider it something worth complaining about. When his turn came, he looked at the food for a moment and asked, "What's the best thing you're serving today?" "The fish soup with young corn and the boiled chicken with lime leaves, sir." "But we're almost out of chicken. Which one do you think tastes better?" Nana looked at him, not because she was surprised, but because very few people ask questions like that, questions asked because they genuinely wanted an honest opinion. "The fish is better today. The fish is fresher than the chicken." The old man nodded. "Then I'll have the fish." He finished every bite. Not a spoonful of soup remained. When it was time to pay, he looked at her and said, as casually as someone commenting on the weather, "This is truly good. I've eaten in many places, but your soup has something different about it. I don't know what it is, but when I finish eating, I don't want to get up right away." Then he left. Nana's assistant A 22-year-old woman named Adwoa, who loved talking, watched him walk away and asked, "Who is that man, sister?" "He pays with big bills but dresses like a gardener." "I don't know." "I'm not sure," Nana said as she ladled soup into a bowl for the next customer. "You didn't ask his name? If people don't introduce themselves, I don't ask." Adwoa gave her a look, the kind of look someone gives a coworker they find strange, but don't have enough time to question because the line is still long. The following week, the old man returned. This time, he didn't ask anything about the food. After he finished eating, he asked, "Where did you learn to cook?" "My mother taught me. I never studied anywhere." "How long have you been working here?" "Almost a year." "What did you do before this?" Nana looked at him. He asked a lot of questions, but his voice was not the voice of a curious person. It was the voice of someone evaluating. In her experience, there were two kinds of people who asked many questions. People who wanted to know about you, and people who wanted to know whether you were worth investing their time in. This old man was the second kind. "I catered events. Now I run this place too. Have you ever thought about expanding? Of course. But I don't have the capital yet." He nodded, stood up, paid and left, without saying anything more. During the third week, he stayed longer. The crowd had thinned out, and Nana was cleaning up when he asked, "If someone wanted to partner with you, what kind of partnership would you want?" Nana stopped. She put down the cloth in her hand. "Do you want to partner with me? I'm asking what you would want if someone did. Answer my question first. I'd want to know what I'm doing, what I'm getting, and what rights I have in the arrangement. I don't want to be an employee while someone calls it a partnership." The old man looked at her. For the first time since he had started coming, he smiled genuinely. That's the right answer. They talked for another 2 hours that day. At the end of the conversation, he stood up, looked at Nana, and said something she would never forget. "My daughter, I've been in business for 40 years. I've seen many talented people fail because they didn't know how much they were worth. You do. Don't let anyone take that away from you." Then he told her his name, Kofi Asante. He owned 3 small restaurants in Kumasi and a hotel in Accra. He was looking for someone to supply prepared food for the hotel's breakfast buffet. Nana stood still for a moment after he left. Her eyes followed his figure until he disappeared around the corner of the market. For the first time in 4 years, someone had called her "my daughter" in a way that felt like a compliment, not pity. The contract with Mr. Kofi's hotel was signed 3 weeks later. It wasn't large, but it was stable, enough for Nana to hire 2 assistants. Enough for her to move from the market table to a small rented kitchen in a nearby alley. Enough for her to begin seeing that the road ahead was longer than she had imagined and that she had the strength to walk all the way down it. 1 year after signing that contract, Mr. Kofi called Nana to his office. She arrived in her kitchen clothes because she had come directly from the morning shift. She hadn't had time to change. She sat down across from him with the smell of food still lingering on her hands, and she didn't apologize for it. Mr. Kofi looked at her for a while. Not the way someone evaluates appearance, the way someone decides whether or not to say something important. Then he spoke. "There is something I want to tell you. 25 years ago, I had a younger sister. Her name was Ama." Nana sat quietly, her hands resting on her lap. "My sister married a man from Abuabo village. He was a carpenter. They had a daughter. Then both of them died in the flood that year when the child was not yet 2 years old." He paused, looked out the window for a second. "People said the child was adopted by a family in the village. I searched for years but never found her." The silence in the room stretched so long that Nana could hear cars passing outside. "What are you trying to tell me?" she asked. Her voice did not shake, but it was slow. Mr. Kofi placed a sheet of paper on the desk. It was a DNA test result. He had arranged for someone to collect a sample from a cup Nana had used while drinking water during her visits. "I know this isn't a normal way to do things. I'm sorry I didn't ask you directly first. I was afraid that if I did, you wouldn't believe me, or that you would leave before I had a chance to explain." Nana looked at the paper, numbers, technical terms, and at the bottom, 99.7% probability. "Are you sure?" "Yes." She sat there for a long time. Her hands remained on her lap. Her eyes remained on the paper. Mr. Kofi said nothing. He didn't get up to pour her water. He didn't ask whether she was okay. He didn't do anything to fill the silence. He simply sat there. And that was the most correct thing he did that day. Then Nana cried. Not the kind of crying that comes from humiliation. The kind people do when they find something they never knew they were searching for. Something whose absence had created an emptiness that she had Spent years filling with work, with numbers in a tin box, with evenings alone in a kitchen corner beside an oil lamp. When she finally stopped crying, Mr. Kofi stood up and poured 2 glasses of water. He placed one in front of her and kept the other for himself. Then he sat down and spoke softly. The first time I smelled the food you cooked at that market stall, I stood still for a moment before walking over. That smell was exactly the same as the smell from my sister's kitchen years ago. A smell I thought no longer existed anywhere in this world. Nana looked at him. Why didn't you ask me directly from the beginning? He was silent for a moment, because I was afraid. He said it in the voice of someone unaccustomed to admitting such a thing. I've spent 40 years in business. I don't fear many things. But I was afraid of finding out and being wrong. I was afraid of hoping and discovering it wasn't true. I needed to be certain before I spoke. Nana nodded. She understood. He never apologized again, and she never asked him to. They sat quietly for a while, no discussion about business. No discussion about contracts. Just 2 people sitting in a room where the afternoon light slanted through the window, drinking water and allowing what had just happened to find its place inside them. Before leaving, Nana asked a question she had been thinking about ever since she saw the DNA report. Do you know anything else about my mother and father, mister? Kofi looked at her. There was something in his eyes she couldn't quite name. Not sadness, not entirely sadness. It was the feeling of someone who had carried a loss for so long that it had become part of his internal structure, no longer a sharp pain but simply a shape. You are very much like your mother, not because of your face, because of the way you stand, because of the way you ask questions even when you know the answers won't be easy to hear. Nana stood up, picked up her handbag, then paused for a second at the door. Without turning around, she said, Someday, would you tell me about her? Of course, anytime you want. The news spread, not because Nana wanted it to. It spread because in places like Kumasi, everything spreads. People talked at the market, at tea stalls, at alley entrances. They told each other that Abena's daughter-in-law turned out to be Kofi Asante's niece. That Kofi Asante, the man with 3 restaurants and a hotel, had finally found the granddaughter he had lost 25 years ago. That the daughter-in-law in old dresses, the one Abena always mocked, was not someone who needed anyone's pity. The neighbors heard the news and exchanged looks. Nobody said much, but everyone remembered that April morning. The words Abena had shouted loudly in the courtyard, and everyone felt something shift inside them in a direction they couldn't quite name. Abena heard the news one afternoon from a neighbor. She sat down in a wooden chair on the porch and said nothing for a very long time. Then she stood up, changed into her nicest clothes, and went to the rented kitchen where Nana worked. Nana was checking a food order for the hotel when Abena walked in. Nana looked at her. Abena looked at Nana. Abena opened her mouth. Perhaps she intended to apologize. Perhaps she intended to congratulate her. Perhaps she intended to say something clever that would make the situation less uncomfortable for herself. But before she could speak, Nana turned back to her work. I'm busy. If you need to talk, you can wait. Or you can come back another time. Abena stood there for a moment. Then she turned and left. No one in that kitchen heard her say another word. The day Nana moved out of Abena's house, she didn't take much with her. The same old clothes, the same tin box, though much heavier now than when she first started saving. The same notebook she had used to record numbers during those nights in the kitchen corner. Kwame helped carry her belongings to the vehicle. Abena stood in the doorway watching. No one said anything. When the vehicle left the lane, Nana looked back through the window. Abena was still standing there. She looked smaller than the gate behind her. Nana turned her face forward, not because she was hard-hearted, but because some things cannot be stared at forever if you intend to keep moving. Kwame came to see Nana that evening. He sat across from her, looked at her longer than he usually did, then spoke. I'm sorry. What are you apologizing for? She didn't ask to challenge him. She asked because she wanted to know what he truly understood. He was silent for a moment. I knew what my mother was saying to you, and I didn't do enough to stop it. I kept thinking that if I didn't make things worse, everything would eventually pass on its own. But it didn't. No, Kwam, Nana said. Her voice held no bitterness, only truth. I don't need someone to protect me after something has already happened. I need someone who stands beside me before it happens. Kwame was silent, longer than usual. Then he nodded. They talked for another hour that night. It was the first time in 4 years they had spoken without Abena somewhere in the house, without the sound of her footsteps. without her shadow passing by the doorway, without the feeling that every word could be overheard and interpreted differently. Kwame admitted he was afraid. Not afraid of his mother in the sense of punishment. Afraid because he didn't know how to avoid losing either of them. He had grown up with a mother who believed that love always came with conditions. And he had learned that lesson so early that he never noticed it happening. Nana listened to everything. She didn't tell him he was right. She didn't tell him he was wrong. She simply said, "Then we'll learn again." That was the simplest sentence she had said to him in 4 years. And it was also the hardest promise they would begin keeping together. And that was the first real conversation they had had in 4 years. Mr. Kofi had not only found his niece, he had found Nana long before he knew she was family. He found her through the way she worked, through the way she answered questions honestly, through the way she never diminished herself even while standing behind a wooden table in the corner of a market. He often told relatives that in 40 years of business, the most valuable thing he had learned was not how to make money, but how to recognize people. Money can be lost and found again, but a person with true character, if you overlook them once, you may lose them forever. He had not overlooked Nana. Later, when people asked him how he recognized a trustworthy person the first time he met them, he often told the story of that afternoon at the market. Not the story about the food, not the story about finding his niece. He told them about the way Nana answered his questions, not hurried, not defensive, not trying to appear greater than she was. He said people spend a lot of time teaching one another how to speak impressively and how to present themselves in ways that leave an impression. But truly capable people do not need those things. They only need to tell the truth. And the truth naturally carries enough weight for people to feel it. Nana was that kind of person. For all those years, Abina had never seen it. Not because she was blind, but because she was looking for something else. She was looking for beautiful dresses, curled hair, wealthy families, and famous names. Those were the measures she used. And because of that, she measured incorrectly. 2 years after being reunited with Mr. Kofi, Nana stood in the kitchen of the largest restaurant in his Kumasi chain as both head chef and 20% owner. Her hair was neatly tied back. She wore a white apron. The plastic sandals had been replaced by professional leather kitchen shoes. She did not wear expensive kente dresses. She did not wear sparkling jewelry. She did not need those things to know who she was. People sometimes asked her what the secret to success was. She usually replied that there was no secret. There was only the tin box. There were only the evenings spent alone beside an oil lamp. There was only the decision to wear old dresses so she could afford a future. Those things did not sound exciting, but they were real. And real things always last longer than exciting things. On the day the restaurant officially opened, Abena came. She stood at the entrance wearing her finest clothes and holding a small bouquet of flowers. She looked inside. She saw Nana speaking with Mr. Kofi and several guests. Then she looked down at the flowers in her hands. Nana saw her. The two women looked at each other across the distance of the large room, across all the years and all the words and all the old dresses and all the evenings spent alone. Nana walked toward her. Abina opened her mouth. But Nana walked past where she was standing. She paused for 1 second, gently placed a hand on Abena's shoulder, then continued toward the reception desk to greet a newly arrived guest. Not a word, not a tear, not a victorious smile. Only a hand on a shoulder, light as the wind, and feet that kept moving forward. That was everything Abena received, and that was everything Nana wished to give. Later, people in Kumasi often told the story of the bride from Aboabo village who wore old cotton dresses. They told it in many different ways, adding details they had never witnessed, leaving out moments they thought were not dramatic enough. Some people claimed that on opening day, Abina fell to her knees and apologized publicly. That never happened. Others claimed that Kwame abandoned Abina and chose his wife instead. That was closer to the truth, but not entirely. The truth was that Kwame slowly learned how to be a husband before being a son, and that learning was gradual, not dramatic. There was no single moment that changed everything. Just one day after another, one slightly different choice, then another and another, until the way he chose became a new habit. The truth is almost always less dramatic than the stories people prefer to tell. The truth was simply a woman in an old dress sitting in a kitchen corner beside an oil lamp, writing numbers into a thin notebook and refusing to stop. But there was one detail that remained the same no matter who told the story. That woman never changed the way she walked. From the days she wore plastic sandals in Abena's courtyard, to the day she stood behind the kitchen counter of the largest restaurant in Kumasi, her steps remain straight, steady, always moving forward. Like someone who knows she is never lost, no matter how dark the road becomes. The story ends here, but the feeling does not. Who are you thinking about after watching this video? Tag them below. Maybe this is exactly what they need to hear today. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share it so I can keep bringing you more stories like this.